Okay, in this video we have to switch federal tax forms. No longer can we use the EZ form. Instead, we have to switch to the 1040A. Now, the reason why we have to switch to the 1040A is because the couple in this situation, Kenya and Robin, are married, which is okay for the EZ form, but they're going to be claiming a dependent person of their own. They have a child at home. And because they have a dependent, we have to move up to the 1040A form, or we can use the long form 1040. Now, the 1040A is a bit more complicated than the EZ, but as with the EZ, there is an instruction booklet that comes with it, and any question or any line that you're stuck on, you can get specific help from the instruction booklet. I don't think we'll need it in this case because it's still pretty straightforward. Lots of lines we can skip if we don't want to complete that information, and we can still file the tax form without completing every single step. I'll show you what I mean. So with Kenya and Robin, they are married, and for the most part, married couples generally file jointly. There are some exceptions, but in each of our scenarios, if you're married, it's going to benefit the couple to join their incomes together. So they're married filing jointly. They have one dependent, so that forces us to use this A form. This is kind of interesting because while we have the W-2s provided to us, they have $987 in interest that was earned at a bank or in some investment. And then additionally, they've also got money in stocks. And if I'm not mistaken, stock dividends are not accounted for on the EZ form. So that's another reason why we've got to use the 1040A form. So here we go. Let's just jump right into it. The tax form itself is a slightly different color. It's pink and red, so that's a good indication that you're using a different form. And you'll notice that the layout, even on that first page, is slightly different at the beginning. Let's go ahead and fill in the top information. This is necessary with all returns. Go ahead and pause the video, collect the information from what was on the screen a few minutes ago about Robin and Kenya, and we'll report back here. In fact, I think I'll go ahead and put that up on the screen so you can write this information down. Here's Robin's information. You can pause the video now if you need to. And here is Kenya's information. You can pause the video and write this down as you need to as well. Okay, so there's the information from the two W-2s. I went ahead and listed Robin first and then Kenya. It really doesn't matter which order you place these in, but if the instructions later mention, the phrase you or the phrase spouse, then by listing the two people in this order, when they say your income or how much money did you make last year, that's referring to this first person, and then how much money did your spouse make or what did your spouse contribute, that would be this person. So that's really the only pieces of information we've got to keep clear here. Otherwise, it makes absolutely no difference who gets labeled first or second. On the W-2s, the number zeros were placed in the position where the Social Security number was reported, so I went ahead and put that down here. But of course, when you're doing the real thing, you must provide real, correct Social Security numbers. Now moving on, this is different. Filing status. This time we have to check the box that we are married and filing jointly. We did not have to check a box like this in the last form. Additionally, the exemptions section here is a little bit different. Look at the instructions this time. If somebody can claim you as a dependent, then do not check the box in 6A or 6B. Now, that's way different. In the green form, the EZ form, it said if somebody cannot claim you as a dependent, then you do not check the box. This time we're saying if somebody can claim you, then do not check the box. Well, this is a couple living on their own, so presumably they're not financial dependents of anyone else. So we are going to check the box here. Nobody can claim these two individuals as dependents. These are two people living on their own. Now, because we've checked both of those boxes, as we keep reading to the right, the question or the form asks us to indicate how many boxes were checked between 6A and 6B. We'll put 2 down here. And we also have to indicate our dependents. This is where we report their names. So I'm going to call this child Omar, because that information was not given to us. Again, with the Social Security number, we don't know what it is, so I'm going to just make something up in place here. And child's relationship, or dependent's relationship, I'm going to mark as child, because a dependent could be an elderly parent, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent. It could be virtually any relationship, so we're going to go ahead and list this one here and specify it as a child. Now on box number 4 in this group, it says to place a check if the child under the age of 17 qualifies for the child tax credit. Now this child may qualify for the child tax credit, but to be perfectly honest, I haven't read the instructions. And if I haven't read the instructions, I'm not going to make any assumptions. So I'm going to leave this blank. Now, it's important to keep in mind that a tax credit will reduce the amount of taxes that you owe. So if you don't take the credit, you're not going to get penalized in the eyes of the government. They just won't reduce your tax bill at all. But if you would like to try to reduce your taxes as much as possible, then you're going to have to go out and read the instructions and see if this child qualifies. I haven't done so, and I'm not going to take the time in this video to check. So I'm going to leave this one unchecked, and I'll be okay with that. If I'm not satisfied with my return by the end of this worksheet, well, this is something I might be able to come back to and see if I can save some money on my taxes. As we keep reading, this summary box on the right says to put checks to count the number of children in this group, line or group C, how many of them lived with you. So I'm going to assume that this child did live with this couple. There were none that did not live with them because of divorce or separation, and anybody else that was left out, well, nobody else was indicated in this scenario. So we'll go ahead and add those add those 4 numbers, and we've got a total of 3. Now for line 7, we need to add together all wages, salaries, tips, etc. from the W-2 forms. Well, we've only got 2 W-2s, and here's Kenya's W-2, $52,000, and here's Omar's W-2, $65,000. So we need to add those 2 numbers together. And I did that off camera, came up with $117,247. So let's get that written down here. Okay, really good income for a couple here. All right, taxable interest. Well, we did earn some money. How much money did we earn that was taxable interest? That was $987. And $1,200 was from stock dividends. So let's keep that in mind. Taxable interest, $987. Tax exempt interest, well, we didn't qualify for any of that. None of that taxable interest was exempt from taxes, if that makes any sense. Dividends, well, this is stock dividends. How much money did we make from the stock market when they shared profits? That one was $1,200. Qualified dividends, as an opportunity to avoid taxes, we're going to write 0 here. Capital gains was 0. IRA deductions, pensions, annuities, all of this information is going to get reported as 0. No money was earned from unemployment or from Alaska. No money was earned from Social Security. So lots of zeros. Now I could take the time and explain each of those lines, but this video would be entirely too long for that. So I'm going to avoid this. And if you've got specific questions about these, then again, jump to your instruction booklet. The 1040A instruction booklet has all the information you'll need. You can go line by line and answer any question that you have. If you're confused about this taxable interest or exemption, by all means, read up some more on each of those lines. And we've made it to about line 10 or 12. So if I had questions where I was, I'd scroll down until I find information on line 10, 12, etc. Now back to the work here. Essentially what we need to do is add lines 7 through 14. Really, those were the only three at the top of the group here. And those sum to $119,434. Okay, so line 15 is now complete. We've indicated all of our income for this couple. Now you may not recognize this, but this kind of raises a red flag. There's a problem with this number right now. $119,000, that's too large of an income to use this red tax form, this pink tax form. The pink tax form is reserved for those that only make $100,000 or less than $100,000. So right now I'm a little bit concerned. I think we've made too much money. But one thing that you have to be aware of is that the government has built in ways to adjust your income and has provided deductions available to you that will reduce the amount of income that you're responsible for paying taxes on. So truthfully, as long as your taxable income is under $100,000, then you're okay. And we haven't reduced this at all yet. So let's see what we can do. There was no mention of these two being teachers. There was no mention of them contributing to their retirement accounts or paying any money towards their student loans or any other tuition while going back to school. If any of this applies to you, then that could potentially reduce your tax burden. But again, in each case, if you're going to try to reduce your taxes, you have additional forms, worksheets, and instructions to read. If you don't want to bother to reduce that, then put down 0. If you don't know if they apply to you, then put down 0. Line 20 tells us to add those lines together, 16 through 19. So I've done that now. And line 21, subtract line 20 from line 15. This is our adjusted gross income. Again, I'm a bit nervous, but I don't have to stop just yet. We've got some more options on the second page.